Shall I continue or shall I come from first? Someone can answer me. Okay. So the 73rd Amendment also provided for 1/3 reservation of total number of seats for women. We've been seeing recently in news that 1/3 of reservation for women will be granted in all election forms. But this was already implemented in the local body elections by the 73rd Amendment Act. That is, in all the panchayat elections, council elections, and those things, even today, 1/3 of reservation is for women. So that is the highlight of this bill. In case of a dissolution of panchayat, before its term, the fresh elections has to be completed before the expire of a period of 6 months from the date of dissolution. This means that, unlike Lok Sabha, if a panchayat is dissolved after completion of 2 years, normally you guys know that the normal tenure of panchayat is 5 years. So if a panchayat is dissolved after 2 years, then there will be remaining period of 3 years, right? So for this 3 years, a new government, a panchayat government will be elected, and that government's tenure will be 3 years and not 5 years. So after the completion of this 3 years, that is in all 2 plus 3, it will be 5 years. After this 3 years, a new election will be conducted, and the next panchayat which is elected will have 5 years of tenure. So that is what this indicates. So all elections related to panchayats shall be vested upon the State Election Commission. As you guys know that the Election Commission of India conducts election for both state legislature and central legislature, for both for MPs and MLAs. But whereas the State Election Commission conducts election for local body elections, that is for municipalities and panchayat. So that is the role of State Election Commission. Please note this one. This is a minute difference which Election Commission of India and State Election Commission has. So does anyone have doubt in this part? That is, after dissolution of panchayat before its term, fresh election has to be completed before the expiry of a period of 6 months. That is, I forgot to say a point. That is, take an example of that panchayat government has completed 4.5 years of tenure, and it has 6 months of tenure left. So for this 6 months, a new election will not be conducted. This 6 months will be left as it is, and a new election will be conducted for the next tenure. So if the period is beyond 6 months, then election will be conducted. The period is less than 6 months, the election will not be conducted. Does anyone have any doubt in this part? At least you can mention in the chat. Okay. So next comes the municipalities. Municipalities were incorporated into the Constitution of India by 74th Constitutional Amendment, which also took place in 1992. It introduced a new part called as Part 9A and Schedule 12 into the Constitution. So generally, it is called as urban local body or urban local government. So generally, it is also of 3 types. That is Nagar Panchayat, which has areas from rural to urban transition, and municipal council for small urban areas, and municipal corporation for large urban areas. For example, if you take Chennai is a municipal corporation, but whereas when you see small villages that are in between the rural culture and urban culture will have Nagar Panchayat. Municipal council for smaller urban areas like small towns and those areas will have municipal council for smaller urban areas. So that is the different types of tiers of municipalities. And same as mentioned here, Part 9 of the Constitution consists of Article 243P to 243ZG, which contain the powers, authorities, responsibilities of all these municipalities. Next comes the constitutional bodies. Constitutional bodies are the bodies which have their or which derive their power from the constitution. They are not set up or they are not given power by any statutory law or any law passed by the government. Therefore, they are given constitutional status. They cannot be dissolved at any point without the approval of the parliament. So they are powerful other than the statutory bodies. So you can see here UPSC, that is the body which conducts exam for us. That is, it conducts the AFCAT exams. It is a constitutional body. The Finance Commission is also a constitutional body. The Controller and Auditor General is a constitutional body. Election Commission of India is a constitutional body. Also, the State Election Commission is a constitutional body. So here, UPSC is a central recruiting agency in India. It recruits for various posts and various exams, like CRPF. It does recruit for CRPF. UPSC recruits for civil services. It recruits for AFCAT. It recruits for CDAs. It recruits for NDA and various exams. The chairman of the UPSC is appointed by the president, and the tenure for chairman is 6 years. So please know the tenure, 6 years or until they attain the age of 65. We saw the same age, 65, for the Supreme Court judges. But the Supreme Court judge does not have a tenure of this year, but age limit is alone prescribed for the Supreme Court judge. The UPSC members can resign addressing their letter of resignation to the president only. Also, they can be removed by the president if they find he is not eligible to be continuing his office. The function of UPSC is to conduct exams for appointment of services under the union. It advises the president in matters relating to the appointment, promotion, and transfer of civil servants. So it is merely a recommending character. It cannot compel the president to change or promote or transfer the civil servants. So there are 3 all India services, as I mentioned yesterday. IAS, that is Indian Administrative Services, IPS, and IFS, that is IFOS, Indian Forest Service. Next comes the Finance Commission. Finance Commission is dealt under Article 280 of the Constitution. It provides constitutional status under 280. Article 280, it is provided the Constitution. It is constituted by the President every 5th year or such earlier time as he considers necessary. So at present, it is the 15th Finance Commission which is going on. And the Finance Commission recommends the tax pool, how it must be shared between the center and the state. For example, the 14th Finance Commission asks the center to share around 42% of the revenue to the states and rest 58% for the center itself. This is not required for your exam, but just it's for your info. So the first Finance Commission was constituted in 1959 under the chairmanship of K.C. Niyogi. Please know this static things because once we finish this, we'll see the previous questions. We had a question from the static part, that is from the Prime Minister's part. It is formed to define the financial relation between the center and the state, as I mentioned. The 14th Finance Commission was constituted on 2nd January 2013, and the chairmanship of Y.V. Reddy. This is not required for your exam. You need to know which Finance Commission is taking part at the present time and what are its specialties. That's it. So 15th Finance Commission has been constituted under chairmanship of Dr. N.K. Singh, who will make recommendations for 5 years, commencing on 1st April 2020. So this is the commission which is continuing to till date. Next comes the Comptroller and Auditor General. He is the auditor for the government, and his powers and role and his term of office, his eligibility, everything is covered within the article of 148 and 151. So his term is for 6 years or up to the age of 65. So a peculiar thing which you can note for all the constitutional bodies is this: the term will be either 6 years or until the age of 65, whichever is earlier. That is, if a person is appointed as the Comptroller and Auditor General at the age of 63, then he cannot serve for 6 years, but he has to retire by the age of 65. That is, after serving for 2 years. So he audits the receipts and expenditures of consolidated funds of union, states, and everything. He also does the work of auditing for the states also. So the consolidated fund means that everything which comes from tax and everything will move into this fund, which will be used by the parliament to look after the expenditure of the government. Next is the Election Commission. Election Commission is a constitutional body that governs the election of our country. It is covered under the Part 15 and Article 324 to 329. So Article 324 deals with the Election Commission. The Election Commission of India is a permanent and independent body, and it's a constitutional body to ensure free and fair elections in the country. So these are the things which are covered under the constitutional bodies. These things are just normal facts. That is, national flag is also called as Trianga, which everyone knows. So just go through these facts. Let us look at some previous questions which were asked in your exams. So look at the 8th question out here. This is the previous question of all history, civics, and politics. So you had very minimal number of questions from polity, majority of the questions from history itself. So here you can have a look at the 8th question. So I expect people to answer. If you're not able to answer by switching on the mic, you can just put it in the chat box. So please do participate. There are only 7 persons in this class, and I want everyone to participate. So you can have a look at the 8th question. The preamble of the Indian Constitution was prepared by?
Option C.
Okay. Some of the answers. Does anyone want to differ with? Can I know who answered?
Vishnu Prasad.
Okay. Does anyone want to vary with Vishnu Prasad? Okay, then that's the right answer. It was Jawaharlal Nehru who prepared and presented the preamble of the Indian Constitution. In your book, it was given clearly. It was Jawaharlal Nehru who prepared and moved the draft for preamble. Next, have a look at the 10th question. That is, which one of the following is the exclusive power of Lok Sabha? Answers, please. There's no problem even if it's wrong. Please come up with the answers.
So option D.
Option?
D. Delta.
D for delta. Or D for delta. Okay, then does anyone have a different answer? Okay, the answer is A, actually. Even D is a special power of Lok Sabha, but the exclusive power is money bill. Because money bill is something which can only be introduced in Lok Sabha, and only the speaker notifies whether it is a money bill or not. So that is an exclusive power which is with the Lok Sabha. Even D is a correct answer if you see in an angle, but for the question, this is the answer. Next, have a look at the 18th question. Who discharges the function of the president when vacancy occurs in office of president and vice president simultaneously, owing to removal, death, resignation, or the incumbent, or otherwise? Please note, both president and vice president's office are vacant. So yesterday I told you, when the office of president is vacant, vice president takes over. So when the office of vice president is vacant, then who takes over the office? You can have guesses. No problem.
Option D.
Option B.
D.
Delta.
Yeah.
A chairman of Rajya Sabha is the vice president. His office is, right? Chairman of Rajya Sabha is Vice President himself.
Yeah.
So the Vice President office is also vacant.
Option
Option
C.
B.
Option
B.
Bravo.
Yeah.
That's the right answer actually. So I'll tell you how it is. So when the president is not there, vice president takes over the office. So when even the vice president's office is vacant, then the chief justice of India takes over. Even if the chief justice of India's office is vacant, or even if he is unavailable to take over the position, then any judge of the Supreme Court, that is not any judge, senior most judge of the Supreme Court will be acting as the president. Okay, so this is the hierarchy who will be performing the role of president. You guys know, right? There are total of 34 judges in the Supreme Court. That is 33 Supreme Court judges plus one CJI. That is Chief Justice of India. So obviously, not all 33 judges will be not available. So someone will be available. They'll be taking over the job of president until the president is back. Does anyone have doubt in these three questions?
No, sir.
So look at the 50th question. It is so direct. Fundamental rights are enshrined in the Constitution of India in which part? So easy because
Part 3.
Option B, sir.
correct. Option B, bravo. That is the right answer. So these are direct questions which you can never miss. So polity is something which is easy where you'll have so direct questions. Even the 58th question is something which is so direct, which is from your static part, which I said you to read. So who was the elected as Prime Minister of India in the elections held after the death of Rajiv Gandhi? Please don't refer the book. You can have guesses also. Please be quick.
I think A or C.
It's option A. So VP Singh was the Prime Minister after Rajiv Gandhi. Because you need not look at all these words. You just have to memorize, or you just have to remember the order of prime ministers who were existing. So it was obviously VP Singh after Rajiv Gandhi. Therefore, he should have won. So that is the thing. So go along with the static part. Well, that is the only option. So the 86th question. Who is the chairman of Constitution Drafting Committee? That is, the drafting committee was set up to form the constitution, right? Who was the chairman?
Option C, sir.
Correct. It was obviously B.R. Ambedkar, who was the father of the constitution. So it must be him who was the chairman of the Constitution Drafting Committee also. Next is 95. This is quite a bouncer question, which was related to the current affairs which was in that year, in 2020. Article 343 is related to which of the
Option
following?
A, sir.
Option?
A.
Right. It's official language. You can use elimination technique in order to eliminate these things. Because Election Commission is covered under Article 200 something. Supreme Court is covered under 100 something. National emergency, it is obviously 356. So official language, it's the only option which is left behind. So if you can eliminate, you can get the answers easily for polity. Next is the 96th question. This is a repetition question for which you
Option
guys
B,
have
sir.
already answered. Option? It was the same question which was asked in 2011 also. The preamble of Constitution of India was prepared by. So both are same questions. So have a good glance of all the previous questions, not only polity, even for history and other things. Because UPSC has an habit of repeating questions. Either it will ask questions from the previous year's options, or it may even repeat the question itself. So please have a look at the previous question papers as much as possible.